friends, how's it going? Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. I feel like I say that every single time. I need to come up with something different, don't I? Anyway, today's book that we're going to talk about is called Loved You Once by Claudia Burgoa. She was introduced to me by my very dear author friend, Dawn Edwards. We did a video together, Dawn and I, on Claudia's book, Once Upon a Holiday. That was the first book of hers, obviously, that I had read. And then I recently did a video on the book, Us After You. I will link both of those in the description box below so you can check those out as well. Dawn had talked about Claudia and how she was like, you know, one of her favorite authors. So I love when I can get a recommendation from a fellow book friend, and especially when somebody says, oh my God, one of my favorites, then I know that I definitely want to read, because if we have some of the same tastes in authors and books, and it's a new to me author, I am so excited to jump in and read that author and their books. So Loved You Once is the first book in a new series for her called The CREEK Billionaire Brothers. I hope I got that all right. I loved how, and again, her previous book that I had read was a little bit further along in that series. Us After You was a little bit further along. So I kind of felt, even though I kept up just fine, that was my first time getting to know the characters, and I felt like I played a little bit of catch up. But with this, I'm getting in at the ground level. So I was excited to see that it was a new series for her. I adore her covers. There's something about I don't want to say they're simple, but they're just kind of simple in that it's usually a good-looking man, and it has something to do obviously with the story, but there's just something about Claudia's covers that I adore. They all look like her covers, if that makes sense. So this one I just loved. This series, I am so excited to see where it goes. So the CREEK Billionaire Brothers, say that 10 times fast. There are 7 brothers in total. This first book, and my assumption is in reading this is that we're going to get books about the brothers. This book is about Hayes and Blaire. Hayes is one of the eldest brothers. I think he is the eldest. Very interesting story. So I don't think I'm giving too much away when I say that they are brothers by sharing the same father, but they all have different mothers. So their dad, William, was quite a philanderer. Some of the women he was married to, some of them were women he had affairs with. He was never faithful to any woman that he was involved in, and he had 7 children. I mean, okay, I don't like William at all, you know. So Hayes has a brother, and his name is Carter. And Carter actually has passed already when this book starts. So really interesting the way Claudia wrote that. And Hayes, like I said, the book is about Hayes and Blaire. Sorry, I'm trying to wrap my head around everything that I want to say and make sure that I'm not giving you too much. Hayes is an orthopedic surgeon. He is in his late 30s. He's a very eligible bachelor in San Francisco. He doesn't talk about being kind of a playboy at all, which I really liked, I have to say. At one point, he says in the book that he hasn't had an intimate relationship with anyone in a couple of years. I kind of like that. It was a breath of fresh air, if I'm honest. And we also know in the very beginning of the book that he is pining for Blaire. Blaire is his girlfriend from college who he broke up with very abruptly, and he 12 years later is like, she was it. What did I do? I can't give myself to any woman because none of them compare to her. So she's a few years younger than him. They met literally her first day of college. They went to the same school. She's also a doctor. I mean, she just was such a wonderful soul. And she gets the call, like Hayes gets a call, because what we then find out is that she was married to Carter, his brother. And I thought, oh, okay. So I should say, and I've been trying to be better about the genres, is that it's kind of like a second chance romance, not kind of, it's a second chance romance with them. So I knew that a little bit going in. And I have to say that those are kind of some of my favorite, I realized, because I just love, not only do I love a love story, but I like seeing how, if it didn't work out, how they are able to get back to each other. If, well, obviously it wouldn't be the story Second Chance if they didn't get back to each other. But you know what I'm saying? I love that part. I might have a little history with myself about that. If my love story is a second chance kind of love story. And here we are about to celebrate our 24th wedding anniversary. Anyway, so the book starts in that William, the brother's father, has passed away. And they are being summoned to New York where their father lived. And they all the boys, and I'll go through and I'll tell you who they are in a second. They've all been summoned and none of them have a relationship with him. And when they came to be the right age where they understood that their dad left their mom, whoever it was along the line, the whole time, and he kept doing it, they were very angry about that. And that their father was an absentee father. And I thought that was really interesting. And so that's the basis of this whole series, what I assume to be where Claudia is going with the whole series. So they're all being summoned to have the will read to them. And he has been very specific in his will. Billionaire brothers, so we know that these are very wealthy individuals. They all have a trust fund that he left them. He was extremely successful. His family, his last name, his legacy, very successful. And he is not messing around. He has put very specific guidelines as to how the will is supposed to be carried out. One of the characters that I really liked in this book was Sophia, and she is Henry, who's the second oldest, his assistant. And I feel like maybe Claudia has given us little clues about some of the characters that are going to be in future books. At least that's what I'm hoping. So this is something that Sophia says about all the brothers. It was funny. She says, Hayes, the yummy doctor. Henry, Satan's spawn, which is her boss, by the way. Mills, I want to eat him, hockey player. Pierce is the hot lawyer. Beacon is the heartthrob musician. And Vance is broody and smoldering, and nobody knows what Vance does. Vance, is he military? Is he in some sort of security? He shows up and he's got a gunshot wound. Very mysterious. They're summoned to the lawyer's office and they are told the will. And basically he has uprooted their lives in his death, specifically because this is the way he wrote his will. He has completely uprooted their lives and has thrown them together and said, if you don't do what I want you to do, and that's, he's very specific, I don't want to give it all away, then you don't get your inheritance. And the people in Baker's Creek will suffer. They have to all live in Baker's Creek for a year and a half together in the same house. The survival of this town and all the people that live in it are depending on them. Getting back to a little bit about Hayes and Blaire, it's been 12 years since they've seen each other. They both never really dated anyone else. They were very important people to each other. I loved Blaire, her heart. I love the way Claudia wrote her. She has a wonderful heart. There is so much more to the story that I'm trying to hold back because I don't want to give it all away. I've said that like 3 times already, I feel like, in this video. Maybe I will have edited out some of that. It really comes down to this family, these brothers who are angry with each other because of what their dad did, and like if they were the one left behind because then he met the next one's mother, you know, and he wasn't a good dad to them. Some of the moms have tried to put them back together and keep them in contact with each other, but you know, men aren't really good at that, I don't think. So I loved how Claudia wrote the undercurrent of this story, not only with Hayes and Blaire, but Hayes and his brothers and the brothers as a whole. I just loved. And if you just read kind of like between the lines a bit, you see where she starts developing it throughout the chapters. And I just adored the journey she took us on with this book. It's about trust. It's about learning to love again. It's about being at a point in life where you need to let go of your baggage if you're going to have any semblance of a happy life. Like, don't get stuck in the past. It's about getting to know someone that you thought you knew, but you didn't really. It's about not judging other people. It's about these brothers realizing that their life isn't any more important than their brothers' lives and where they are in life and the struggles that they're having, and about how learning how to be brothers because they had no one showing them that. They had no one showing them how to be a father, how to have a successful relationship, how to be brothers, because they were really, if at all, spent maybe a week together. There was no guidance, but I just loved this undercurrent of discovering, what do you want out of life? Here's this family that you could have right there, your brothers, and yet you know nothing about them, you never see them, but now your dad's died. I loved it. I kept sinking my teeth further and further into the story. Hayes really seems to go through a change, and I loved watching that with him. To me, that's very fulfilling in a story, is to have a character change on the pages right in front of you as you're reading them. And this is something that he said that was one of those moments for me. It was so much easier to end what we had than to be brave and stay with her. What? Because he's saying this about the time that he broke up with her. And isn't that interesting? Because he realizes at his age, when he looks back on himself, that he had baggage and he didn't even really realize it. Do you know what I'm saying? He realized that all of that he had with her scared him. And he had no role model to look at to be like, okay, this is what a successful relationship looks like. But he loved her, he wanted her, but he couldn't find the bravery in himself to stay with her because it scared him. Seriously. But that's what makes it also great for me. I love this kind of character development. And then later on, Sarah says, they're having, a heart-to-heart. And Sarah says, instead of waiting for me to abandon you like your father did, you ran away. And I know those words are really simple. And when you read the book and where Claudia has it in the book, you'll understand that she's then, as the other person in the relationship, realizing what his actions and how his feelings, like where that stemmed from, and to be able to forgive him so that she can move on and they can move on. I mean, this is just where I thrive in this kind of a book with these kind of emotions and this kind of a story. So when the book ends, I loved where it ended. The big question I had, and I don't think we'll ever know, regardless of if Claudia writes books for all the brothers, is with William, their dad, doing what he did, and the basis of this story, did he screw them over? His last chance to screw them over? Not that he wants to screw over his children, but was he narcissistic enough, because obviously he was, that he thought he knew better? And that it was his last attempt to control his children? Or did he do them a favor? And I don't know if I'm ever going to get that answer. I don't know if all of the books will give me that answer. And that right there is enough for me to be so excited about reading what's coming next. Let me know if you have read Loved You Once or any of Claudia's other books. I would love to get your recommendations as always. It's a super busy reading time for me. I have, I think, 4 arcs that are due next week, so stay tuned for quite a few new videos for me in the next week or so. As always, I welcome you to come say hi to me on my social media, which is Cat Reads Romance on Instagram. I have a Facebook page under the same name, and also I would love for you to join my group, which is Cat's Romance Readers on Facebook. I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you soon, guys. Bye.